what is the new front row?
Yeah, thank you. So you provided an incredible framework for futurists and even to understand the future of evolution itself. I love your last chapter, the
Thank
Hollow.
you.
So could you argue that the Hollow itself is inevitable because of how biology has been doing it, how atoms, molecules, cosmology, everything?
Yes. So she was asking about the last chapter of the book, which is where I talk about this kind of knitting together of all these 7 billion people. By the way, I did an estimate of current rates that in the year, I think 2025, another 10 years or so, if things continued, every adult on the planet would have a device that would be connected. So if you take all that holos of all the people plus all the machines connected together, is that inevitable because of the general trend in biology of kind of making these large systems? And I would think yes. My view of technology is that it's an extension of evolution, that it's basically the same self-organizing force that organized the galaxies, the suns, the planets, and then made life, and that we are seeing the extension of that, and making this large organism, a large tissue is one of them, making many minds is another. So we didn't talk about AI because John's bored with AI, but that is another thing that evolution kind of does again and again. It keeps making minds, and so therefore I think we should expect to see more minds. Yes.
Thank you very much. I would love to hear pick one. Orlando, pulse and technology, your perspective, or talk about the election and technology.
Boy. The election. Well, okay. So I think a lot of the stuff that Trump is riding on, this frustration, the clear dissatisfaction of many people in the country, is really has anything to do with China, or Mexico. It has to do with the fact that there actually has been technological displacement of jobs that were very traditional, or had long been in communities, and they're vanishing very, very quickly. And that's when work gives us meaning, and it becomes meaningless, and there's a lot of anger and frustration because of that. So and here's the thing is, I think there will be more of that because with artificial intelligence replacing certain roles that we have, like the most common occupation in America is actually truck driving. And so a very large percentage of those people won't have that particular role anymore. And so I think that part of what we're seeing and around the world too, it's not just in the US, is a reaction to this shift in this second industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was we made artificial power. So we instead of doing everything with human muscle and animal muscle, we invented artificial power, so when you turn your car and go down the highway, you have 250 horses that you just switch on. Artificial power of 250 horses going like that. And now, so that built everything around us. The cities and everything came because we have artificial power. We can make things way beyond our muscles by harnessing this artificial power, which was distributed on a grid. And now we're going to do artificial smartness, artificial mind. We're going to have a car that has not only 250 horses, but 250 minds. And that's an auto-driven car. And so we're unleashing this other level that's very close to us. We identify ourselves as thinking beings. And that's going to be incredibly disruptive to the existing order, and also incredibly productive. It's going to transform our lives, not in the physical sense, but in the software sense. Yeah.
Got a question right back here.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to follow up on what you were just saying, if you could incorporate your thinking about climate change.
Yeah. So I believe that climate change is a global problem that needs global solutions. I think that we should do geoengineering, we should do other kinds of planetary engineering because it's a planetary problem. And and I think we should have a global government that does that. So if we're going to have a holos, I think part of that is actually to start to take the idea of global governance seriously, and to to begin to do this. So I think that I'm technogenic, meaning that I think most of the problems we have today have come from technology in the past. And I suspect that most of the problems that we're going to face in the future are from technologies we're making today. But here's where I differ from maybe some of the critics. I believe that the solutions to those problems is not less technology, but better technology. So the solution to the problems that technology makes is more and better technology, which of course will make new problems, which of course will require new technologies to solve. So that's what we get, and we get increasing choices. So the analogy that I like to give is I think of technology as a little bit like a thought that's made real. So if I'm up here, and in the next couple of minutes I would give you a really dumb idea, maybe a harmful idea, or stupid idea, your counsel to me is not to say you should stop thinking, or think less. The counsel is you should have a better idea. And the proper response to harmful or stupid technology is not less technology, it's more and better technology. So that's my model, is that while I think that global climate change is caused by technology, the solution is not less of it, but more and better.
So with your travel and all your experience, as opposed to all your optimism, is good governance inevitable, or is corruption inevitable?
But I think both. I'm not a utopian, I'm a protopian. So I think there will be good governance and there will be some bad governments. I think, and I don't spend a lot of time on the negative aspects of these technologies, because here's the thing, is I think the trends that I'm talking about apply to them as well. That the criminal organizations are going to use AI and screening and flowing. They're going to use the same thing. The same trends apply to them in their corruption and abuse as they do to the good. So if we look at how people are going to use it for criminal purposes or to weaponize it, they're going to use it in the same way that the good does. But I don't think that there's going to be. I mean, again, I think there's like 51% good governance and 49% lousy governance. But if we can do 1% difference, then we can make civilization.
I think we've got a question back here.
Hi, my question relates sort of to the previous question. I was wondering if we had something like an asshole detector. Because so many weird things have happened. We've lost faith in the priests.
Yeah.
The sort of social icon of trust. We've lost faith in banks. There's been a number of sort of areas of public trust we've lost.
You're
So
absolutely
if
right.
I had an app where I could say, like, who's around me?
Yeah.
Is this guy at the bank a liar?
Sure.
Is my boss
Right.
really telling me that, things like that?
Yeah.
I could point that around me. How do you see that changing the world?
I'd buy it.
It's serious because the climate, is screwed up because people are greedy and people aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
And that's sort of another question, which is like all the technology makes us look inwards instead of outwards, and we're actually experiential beings.
Yeah. I think there's great room for using technologies in the kind of directions that you talked about, of being able to. There's a couple websites that try to do fact checking and things like that. So I'm very optimistic that we're just at the beginning of learning some of these tools to enter into this world of the screen where everything is flowing, and it's very hard to tell who's telling the truth, who's not. Because for every fact, there's an anti-fact over here. For every expert, there's a counter-expert. And there's little true authority left, because we're all perpetual newbies. We're all having to learn these things brand new. And so I think there's a room for technologies that would do this kind of ascertainment of facts, whether something is believable or not. And so I hope somebody here makes some of that.
think we have time for one more question, but I'm having fun, so we're going to take two. I did want to make a couple of quick announcements. Kevin will be signing his book after the event, back by the cashier station. The booksellers do appreciate if you buy the book in advance rather than just signing a copy and walking out the door. So, the other thing I wanted to let you guys know is that this bookstore is open until 10 o'clock, and it's full of all kinds of groovy things you can buy, including The Inevitable, so don't feel the need to rush off when we get done here tonight. And let's take two more questions.
Thank you. Kevin, could you share with us your opinion on the following little-known quote from Sir Arthur C. Clarke? The goal of the future is full unemployment, so we can play.
Yeah, I think a lot of the jobs that people are fighting over right now are going to be jobs that in 100 years from now we'll be embarrassed that humans ever did. I mean, really, like cashier. I mean, it's like, or it's just like that's not a job for human and human potential. I think we should really be embarrassed by some of the things that we want people to do because they're really made for machines. And I would say that any kind of a job that can be specified in terms of efficiency or productivity is a job that should go to the bots. And what humans are really good at are basically wasting time. And I mean that in a kind of very profound sense of, if you think about what science is inherently absolutely inefficient because you're making experiments that don't work. And you're doing one thing after another, you're kind of incrementally, or you're exploring. Exploring is inherently inefficient. Innovation is by definition inefficient because you're doing things that don't work at the first time, you're crawling along. You have to do things. If you're not being inefficient, you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to do anything new. So those are the kinds of things, that kind of inefficiency is actually what we're really good at and what we should be doing. And anything that is efficient should go to the bots.
We'll take one more question, and John, maybe you can ask a closing question to close out the night.
Well, I've had plenty of chances. Let's let the audience.
Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
I have a question. You mentioned before about the need for global governance, and that's an issue I'm about to get very steeped into. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on how we get from here to there.
Well, there's two things. One is where we want to get to, and I don't even have a very good idea of that. How in a world would you could have a operating democracy with 7 billion people? It's hard to imagine how that operationally would work. And I'm afraid probably the only way we get there is through some horrible crisis. I mean, I don't have a good, the answer is I have no idea about what that looks like or how you get there. And I haven't thought enough, and there are a lot of people like yourself who probably thought more about it. I just know, because of Star Trek, that it's inevitable. So we're going to
Good way to